Welcome back. I'm Kelly Koopmans. Let's dive right into the deep end. The Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission is testing out a new tool for training future law enforcement officers. The agency testing a virtual reality tool in Arlington. Steve is in the ARC Lounge this morning with the executive director, Monica Alexander. Steve?
And Kelly, we should mention this is hot off the presses this morning, so we're the first show to talk about this. And this is a really exciting change, you were just telling me, and I understand that there's 3 layers of this training. What are those layers?
So it's really exciting, and you're right, it is hot off the press, and I wanted you to have it first.
Thank you.
But it's reality-based, it's taser training, and then it's community engagement training.
Okay.
And so those are the 3 different layers that this would cover. But it's, you know, VR, it's totally cutting edge, and we're so excited.
So essentially, and you were sort of telling me during the commercial break, this is a little bit different from just kind of like a shoot or no shoot scenario.
Right.
This brings in a number of different factors that maybe an officer might have to make decisions on,
right,
that they can sort of role play in that scenario. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
And so, you know, we can do taser training, we can do firearm training, but most importantly, when we talk about community engagement training, it is more about some of the mental crises that our officers might run into. Some of the things that we are learning in our crisis intervention training, we actually can do in the CET training, which is community engagement training, with the VR. Virtual reality. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to use acronyms, but it's such a habit.
It is.
But I think what we miss sometimes is some of the softer skills that officers have to use to get things under control. And like you were talking about, we had Virtua for years, and everybody loved it because that was a virtual reality where it was either the person has a gun or they don't have a gun.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much in between that. And so we've learned that, and we're trying to meet our communities where they are and do a better job.
Why does this matter? What sort of difference will this new training make, do you think?
I think it'll make a huge difference because they are real life scenarios that the officers are going to engage in through the VR, and they walk them through, and they can make choices, and then the instructors can correct their choices, and they have a chance to role play, like someone that is encountering someone that's in crisis. And they may not handle it right the first time, right? They're learning, they're in training, but they get to do it over. In the real world, if you come up against a crisis and you handle it wrong, you've just handled it wrong, and you may have caused more harm than help. And
this really does present an opportunity for that officer to think about different ways to de-escalate a situation, I would imagine?
Absolutely. De-escalation is huge. And, you know, people always ask me, well, I want to come in and see your de-escalation training. Well, then you have to look at all of our training.
Because it is
laced. Yes, it's laced through all of our training.
And you were telling me this is just in Arlington right now, just at the facility in Arlington. Are there plans to expand this to other parts of the commission training centers? And if so, what is needed in order to make that happen?
So, perfect question. Yes, we are going to expand because we want our training to be the same all over the state. And it costs money, right? It's funding. And so we have one of our instructors that's in Arlington who has a relationship with Axon. Axon is the one that makes this VR. And quite frankly, we're the first that they're letting do this. And so we have to get the funding for the other locations. We will start with headquarters in Burien next, and then we will go to our other trainings.
Do you think that there is a want to make that happen fairly quickly?
I hope so. You know, like I said, I just saw the demonstration last week and thought, I want to start talking about this. This is super important, and it's going to be a game changer. It also reduces the footprint that we need for training, and that's huge because we've been asking for a larger academy. That costs a lot of money. And so now we're looking at, hey, we don't have to have a larger academy if we use this VR system. We can reduce our footprint and invest in this, in technology, instead of more space. Because as you know, more space costs a lot of money.
Yes,
and there's not a whole lot of space in the central location that we need.
As somebody who's been part of law enforcement for a long time like yourself, you know, take me through the thought process when you first saw this training play out just a number of days ago, in terms of what you thought about the long-term impact of having something like this, not just in Arlington, but headquarters and maybe other parts of the state where these police officers are trained.
I literally got chills because I wished that I would have had this type of training long time ago when I was in law enforcement. One of the scenarios that I watched was a young man that had autism, and his father had asked him to stay by the car, but he had actually taken something from a store. And the dad was coming, but at the same time the officers arrived. They had their overhead lights on, and as we know, that can be a trigger.
Yeah.
And so the officer, you know, kind of tried to calm him down, but didn't know what to do initially, and then realized this young man man has autism, and then he walked him through it. He told his partner, turn off the lights, turn all the spotlights off. Then the dad comes running in, but the officer doesn't know who he is. And so many things could have gone awry, but they didn't. They worked through it. And doing the VR, they can go awry and we can correct it, but it's something that now officers will have seen. And when they see it, they can react to it better and differently than they would if it was the first time they saw it.
Yeah, just imagine the different scenarios that they could face and how much of a game changer this could really be in the training workforce, that sort of thing. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank
It's always
you for
great to see you.
coming on to talk about this. Certainly an exciting change for folks that are going through that training process, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Steve.